Hey guys, it's Tim, and this is HN Annotated. In recent comics, Thor's been through a lot. He lost his ability to lift Mjolnir after words from Nick Fury made him unworthy, only to be replaced for several years and seemingly losing the right to his first name. Then having that Thor be killed and reclaiming the title only for Mjolnir to be destroyed, causing him to have to use other hammers instead. On top of all that, a war is raging across the Nine Realms led by the daughter of one of his greatest enemies. But on the bright side of this, he did recently get quite the upgrade when he became the King of Hell. When the villainous daughter of Surtur, Cinder, the self-proclaimed Queen of Cinders, swears revenge on those who felled her father, she begins her crusade across the Nine Realms, which leads her into a confrontation with Thor. She met up with him in Hell, where Thor and his brothers Loki and Balder, the latter of whom is the current King of Hell, are gathered in anticipation of an attack. But things don't go as smoothly as they'd hope, because Hela has returned for her throne. The end result of this is both her and Balder being badly injured by the time the Queen of Cinders reaches them. With no options remaining, Thor must take on Cinder by himself. Thor takes Hela's fallen crown, which gives him a rush of new power, and the title of the blood-drenched god of the Deathstorm. And along with these powers comes a brand new hammer, which is entirely made out of frozen blood to represent Thor's new position to top the cold realm of the dead. Prior to all of this, Thor had Loki fake his death in order to enter Valhalla, with the sole purpose of recruiting the Valkyries there to aid him in battle. This includes Brunhilde, who most people think of solely as Valkyrie in the Marvel Universe. Though she sees through this ruse basically immediately, she does readily accept the call to face off against Cinder's fully powered fire goblins, and calls her sisters to arms in what's meant to have been the final battle of this war. While the legions of Valkyries that Thor recruited aid him in battling against Cinder's fire goblin army, Thor begins to lay down an epic beatdown on the Queen of Cinders until she has no choice but to stay her hand and retreat for the time being. According to the god himself, the winds roared like a blizzard of bones, and thunder shakes the world tree from root to branch. This is definitely one of the most powerful versions of Thor that we've seen so far, which of course is why he relinquishes the power to its rightful owner once this fight is done. While this wasn't the final battle he intended, it was a major blow struck in the war. With all of that said, this opening arc could actually make a pretty solid starting point for Thor once it gets underway. All the elements, save for Balder of course, were set up in Thor Ragnarok, including Hela, the Valkyries, and Surtur. With a few alterations, this could work out pretty well. Assuming Loki's return, you could have them go through the same plan of faking Thor's death to enter Valhalla in an attempt to recruit the fallen Valkyries that Hela slayed in the flashback in Ragnarok. And we could see a similar scene to that flashback in full motion with our Valkyrie from that movie joining them once more, sort of bringing things full circle with her. And with Hela seemingly killed by Surtur, perhaps like his god of thunder powers, because they're siblings, Thor may be able to briefly tap into Hela's power that we saw in full display in the previous film. And based on what we saw, those powers do seem like they would be quite the upgrade to Thor should he claim them. You could easily replace Cinder with her father to give Surtur a more active role than just showing up at the beginning and end of the film, and the war across the Nine Realms could easily be written as the follow-up to Thor starting Ragnarok at the end of the film. So all the major elements would be in place, but you could change it up a bit so that it would fall more in line with following directly up with Ragnarok. It's certainly a viable option, and it still leaves room around it for fans to get the things that they love about the previous Thor films. But until then, it certainly has been quite the ride to see the path that Thor's been going on in his recent book. But let us know what you guys think down in the comments. Have you been reading along with this, and would you want to see it adapted into a future Thor film? Well, as always, let us know your thoughts down in the comments, and this has been Tim for HN Entertainment, signing out.